Y'all hear about this new Florida law where they've made it a crime to have a license plate cover? I remember seeing this on Lado's channel and I thought, what's the over-under, realistically, on how long it's going to take for some dumbass cop to get in their feelings and actually arrest somebody over this? The answer? 75 days. That's all it took. Let's talk about it. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to Southern Draw Law. My name is James White, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor, former police officer. So, I checked just now. Lado's video on this has about 500,000 views. So, I'd say most of you probably saw it back when he did the video about Florida rolling out this brand new license plate law. And anyone who has ever met a cop should have known that there would be a disastrously bad application of this law. It's absolutely foreseeable and has been from the beginning. So you might say, well, James, surely the DMV and the Attorney General's office in Florida offered some guidance on how to implement this law to ensure it would be done correctly, right? Wrong. They waited until after some cop did exactly what I described before. So the story comes to us out of Channel 6, the NBC affiliate out of South Florida. Let's roll it and then we'll talk about a few things on the other side.
He said, I'm arresting you because the S on your license plate is obscured.
Only on 6. A man goes to jail over that new law about license plates. But in a surprising twist, police are now apologizing, admitting they were wrong. NBC6's Amanda Placencia with details on the wrongful arrest.
Something's need to be done because that's not right.
DeMarquis Dawson says he spent Monday night in jail after he was pulled over and arrested by Davie police for the license plate frame on his rental car.
He said, I'm arresting you because the S on your license plate is obscured. The S of sunshine.
On his social media, Dawson posted this photo of the license frame, but according to an updated memo yesterday by Florida Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles, your frame can cover the top or bottom of the plate as long as an officer can identify the state. After Dawson's arrest, Davie police apologized and had this statement which read in part, at the initial release of this updated law, the wording was vague, unclear, and appeared to be open for misinterpretation. Since the release of a memo of clarification from the Florida Police Chiefs Association was provided to our department, our officers are educated on the application and use of this statute. Unfortunately, it appears this arrest was invalid, and we extend our apologies to Mr. Dawson. To help clear things up, the Miami-Dade tax collector also sent out this image, and Davie police even explained the new guidance before apologizing to Dawson.
So as long as officers are able to read your numbers here and this registration sticker up here, you can have a frame. If it's partially covering here where you can partially see Florida or just halfway see Sunshine State, you're all right.
This all began under a state law that took effect on October 1st, which states that anything that covers or alters your license plate is against the law. According to the arrest report, Dawson even went to the hospital since he says he had a panic attack. He was okay and later released from jail on his own recognizance, but says he never should have been arrested.
There's a big commotion in the court about like what's right and what's wrong about this new statute.
The original law was intended to stop tinted covers, which can make tags hard to read and are usually used for toll fraud and hiding stolen cars. So what should you do with your license frames?
So you don't need to throw out your plate frame as long as we can still read your license plate and see your registration sticker.
Now, what's also new about this new law is the penalty. It went from a non-criminal traffic infraction and up to a second-degree misdemeanor, which could mean up to 60 days in jail as well as a $500 fine. Reporting in Davie, Amanda Placencia, NBC6 News.
Now, this story was published Tuesday, December 16th, and the story refers to Mr. Dawson being jailed Monday night. So we'll assume that they mean Monday, December 15th. Well, it's Wednesday, December 17th right now. Also, notice the coverage is all about the confusion surrounding the new law and about the police apologizing while acknowledging that the arrest was invalid. But the coverage said nothing about the potential violations of Mr. Dawson's rights. So let me ask you this, knowing full well what your answer is going to be. Does anyone in my audience believe in oopsies when it comes to the police locking somebody up, even for a minute, over a freaking license plate frame? Of course we don't. And isn't it amazing that state agencies, just since Monday, 2 days ago, have suddenly come out with these fancy graphics, like this one. Basically a how to understand laws for cops, showing exactly how to interpret this dumb law. Are we really supposed to believe that no one in state government could have foreseen that this law would be misinterpreted or misapplied to people. It is true in 100% of cases that when you give a cop too much discretion, someone gets arrested unlawfully. That has been empirically proven thousands of times over without serious debate. And yet the state of Florida saw no value whatsoever in helping officers, no doubt hired using the new London room temperature IQ hiring rubric, understand how this should be implemented. Still, you might be surprised by my angle here, because I'm not going to suggest that the officer read the law wrong, which is what the Davie Police Department is resting on. They're going to rest on the protections of qualified immunity. Their position is going to be that the officer had arguable probable cause, which is that cutesy little standard that the courts have allowed them to put in there to give qualified immunity protection. Well, you didn't have probable cause, but you had arguable probable cause. I mean, clearly you're dumb, and clearly you can't read, and so clearly you could obviously misinterpret this law, so you're probably okay. That's not what happened here. The Davie Police Department wants you to believe that, but that's not what actually happened. And I'm going to show you why it's not true. Yes, the law does read as if almost any obstructed detail is grounds for arrest, but that does not mean that there was probable cause to arrest under these circumstances. And that's why qualified immunity may not be as bulletproof as the Davie PD thinks. So the first thing we need to do is pull up the statute itself and take a look. And at first glance, Davie PD probably thinks they're safe, which is why they've come out and apologized. But under Florida Statute 320.061, it says a person may not alter the original appearance of a license plate. It further says a person may not attach a covering around a license plate that interferes with the legibility, angular visibility, or detectability of any feature or detail on the plate, or interferes with the ability to record any feature or detail. So, first things first, let's start with the undeniable vagueness here. Any detail or feature? Well, that's pretty all-encompassing. But what is angular visibility? Whose angle? The officer's? A toll booth camera? A plate reader? What about interferes with the ability to record? Record how? Document it in what way? A photo? A video? From where? Dash cam? Body cam? A drone? A toll camera? A license plate reader? Which piece of digital spyware takes priority over the citizens' Fourth Amendment rights in this particular case? If the statute survives a vagueness challenge, which I highly doubt, then we got to move on to the part that actually matters. This statute does not punish conditions, it punishes conduct. It criminalizes actions, not appearances. This is a conduct-based crime, meaning the officer must have probable cause that the driver intentionally put something on the tag to block the numbers or the sticker, or, hide any detail or whatever. So let's pause and ask, how exactly does one establish probable cause that a driver committed this conduct, specifically when the statute has a knowingly requirement when the person is operating a rental car? Because here's the part nobody's talking about, but every lawyer in America instantly saw this as insane. People put license plate covers on cars they own to personalize them. I mean, who rents a car for a day or a weekend or a vacation and says, girl, I just can't with this vanilla-ass Enterprise license plate frame. Let me go ahead and get this pink bedazzled one from Walmart so everybody knows what kind of swag I'm trying to bring out to these interstates here in Florida. Nobody. No human being on earth customizes a rental car. Nobody puts vanity frames on property they don't own. Nobody buys accessories for a car they're going to return in 4 days. And nobody besides Tom Brady expresses themselves through Hertz. And if they did, does that mean that Florida's idiotic law, which literally accomplishes nothing in the interest of the public, is now infringing on the First Amendment right to express your swag through your vacation rental? Maybe. And that makes it worse. You don't walk off a plane, grab a Toyota Corolla from Avis and say, hold on now, we're probably going to be a little late checking into the hotel because I got to hit up the AutoZone so I can put a sick chrome frame on this bad boy. But this doesn't happen. And yes, probably the primary reason for this law was people who put these mechanical flippers and switchers and things like that to actually swap out license plates. And if we're being painfully honest, the only people who would ever do that are like drug traffickers and human traffickers and hitmen. But trust me, those guys aren't the ones getting pulled over for a plate frame and getting busted on the middle of a Florida interstate. It's regular people like you and me and DeMarquise Dawson who get screwed by this pointless law. And this is where racial profiling, pretext, poor legislative drafting, and poor training all shake hands and sprint their asses into federal court. Florida passed a new law. The language is vague. It uses words like obscure and interfere and detectability. It invites subjective interpretation by cops not smart enough to understand statutory framework or statutory construction. And anytime police get a shiny new ambiguous law, guess what they do? They enforce it as much as they possibly can. And they enforce it against the same groups they always enforce pretext laws against. Black people, Hispanic people, young people, people in rentals, people who don't look like they belong here, people they want to stop but can't articulate a reason for stopping, so they fabricate one. This is the same old game using a new justification. So we can pretty much guess how this unfolded. Officer mentions the plate, driver says it's a rental. Maybe with some attitude, officer's ego lights up like it's freaking Christmas Eve, and then it escalates. There is no legitimate policing objective accomplished by arresting someone under this statute. You literally did a physical arrest over a person having a license plate cover that they didn't even put on. A citation? No, but sure. A warning? Okay. Letting them know, hey, this can cause you problems in the future? Fine, that's the preferred response. But a physical arrest for a plate installed by Enterprise, that is what will fail qualified immunity, because no trained officer would do that unless one of three things was true. Ego, the driver didn't show the proper respect. Retaliation, to punish the driver for not showing the proper respect and challenging the officers. Or probably the one that actually is going on here, and that's a search motive. The officer wanted inside the rental car and he didn't get consent. You're not arresting someone for obscuring their own plate when it's not their car, and there's no evidence that they knowingly obscured anything. So this arrest lacks probable cause, and that's the reason that it will probably fail qualified immunity, because you don't even have arguable probable cause. You're arresting someone because you want to escalate, you want to show dominance, or you want to search the car. That's it. And then when you walk up expecting that sweet, skunky rental car weed smell that you were just certain DeMarquise had on him, and you don't get it, well, you're still not letting him go. You still want to search the car. So what do? You lean on this vague law that criminalizes any detail. You tow the car, conduct an inventory search, find nothing, and then when the driver goes to the media, you suddenly have all of these materials at your disposal to publish to make sure you clarify things that you didn't bother clarifying in the first place. And when the search yields nothing, well, you tell Mr. Dawson, sorry for the misunderstanding. You know, these legislators, hashtag you're welcome for the sunshine. But not so fast, Davey PD. Slow your roll. Probable cause, at its core, it demands answers to these two questions. Is it more probable than not that a crime is being committed? And is it more probable than not that this person has committed it? Probable cause is based on the totality of the circumstances. The totality of the circumstances means that you must consider factors that cut against criminality, not just the ones that support criminality. So let's go back to that first question. Is it likely that a crime is being committed? Maybe. Probably. If you take a strict reading of the statute and you assume any obstructed detail counts, then yes, there's probably a crime because it's categorized as a misdemeanor under Florida law. But what about question number 2, the second prong? Is it more likely than not that this person committed the crime? Absolutely not. And no competent police officer, in the absence of some statement by the driver saying, I did this and I did it on purpose, would think that they had probable cause here. Remember that pesky knowingly standard at the end of the statute? The fact that this is a rental car, combined with the universal truth that no one customizes rental cars, means there is almost zero chance Mr. Dawson placed that plate cover there or knew anything about it. He probably looked at him side-eyed as soon as he asked him, what's up with your plate cover? Dude, I don't know. This is a rental. What are you talking about? The probable cause has collapsed right in front of you, and you know it. And that's the reason you came out and apologized. But you're going to be paying this guy. Somebody needs to get sued over this. Because what do we actually have here? We have a vague law written by legislators who didn't think. We have state agencies who failed to clarify a law they knew would be misapplied. We have a poorly trained police officer who ignored every context clue pointing away from criminal behavior. We have a custodial arrest which could have been accomplished with a citation with no probable cause. And we have a driver who did nothing except rent a car. If the government tells me that they're here to help, I immediately know that I'm in danger. Furthermore, if the government tells me they've enacted a law for my safety, I immediately know they're full of shit, and I am less safe as a result of the enactment of that law. No matter what they say, this law isn't about safety, and it certainly is not about protecting the integrity of your license plate. For the state, it's about how to get more money. Florida tolls generated over $1.25 billion with a B dollars this year. If you obstruct the plate, well, they don't know where to send the bill. So they criminalize obstructing the plate. So that way they can make sure they can send the bill and you're going to pay it or get your car towed or get stopped and shot and killed like Ashton Barnes did in Texas. That's the state's angle. The cops' angle is simple. More excuses to profile. More tools to justify pretextual stops. More ways to turn "I wanted to stop you" into "see, the law says I can." But they screwed up and they need to be sued. I don't know, maybe the ACLU will take this case or find a plaintiff who actually owns the car and challenge the law on First Amendment grounds because she wants to put whatever her statement is about politics or whatever on the back of the car. Either way, I promise you this, they won't take the money from the toll revenue. Florida taxpayers are going to be on the hook to pay for this mistake and the thousands more that will inevitably follow. Anyway, that's all for this one, guys. I hope you got something from it. I'd like to invite you to check us out on all the socials. I'll put up a QR code here for you to scan with your phone. That'll take you to the Linktree site where you can check us out on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Substack. You can join on a paid tier of Substack if you want to, but that's only for people who want to support the channel monetarily. I don't put anything on these platforms that people have to pay for. If you don't want to follow us to other platforms, but you'd like to support monetarily, I'll leave my Venmo and PayPal links both here on the screen as well as in the description. Please remember to like and subscribe and leave a comment on the video. Check out some of the other videos on the channel. Leave a comment on there as well. Until I see you again, take care. Always film your interactions with the police and keep your evidence to yourself.